Boff Whalley is my guest on this week's episode. He was formerly the lead guitarist of Chumbawamba. He's a playwright and the founder of the Commoners Choir, amongst much, much else. Have a listen. For this Corona Bloody Virus extraordinary episode of the Light on Leeds podcast, I'm very excited to invite and speak to Boff Whalley. Hello, Boff.
Hello.
Yeah, it's great to remotely connect. It would be great if I could see you in real life, but this is the state of things we're in, isn't it?
Yeah. Isn't it funny how we now say, oh, it's great to remotely connect?
Yeah, it's so weird.
Yeah.
Yeah, I used to always speak to guests in real life and invite them to my home and have a cup of tea. And one of the really hard things is the crossover of speaking, which I'm quite bad at anyway in real life, but at least you get visual cues.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
So, Boff, you are the former lead guitarist of the amazing Leeds band Chumbawamba.
Yes, that's true.
But these days you're doing all sorts of other things. You are a playwright and a founder of the Commoners Choir, and I know that you're very, very into fell running.
Yeah, that's a nice little roundup, yeah.
So what have you been working on over the past couple of months?
This year, mainly I've been working with Welsh National Opera, with a writer called Sarah Woods and the opera in Cardiff.
Wow.
But obviously it started about a year ago now, but then come March, we had to suddenly go do it all online. And what was going to be a kind of big performance with, string quartet and lots of opera singers and stuff is now going to be a film.
Oh, wow.
And we've been working with a refugee centre in Cardiff where they have about 150 clients, refugees and asylum seekers go there every day to do classes and to eat, to learn things. And it's an amazing place. And we're just kind of telling their stories in song and everything.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
Yeah, it's been amazing to do. Yeah. And that's kind of being finished at the moment.
And so did you manage to get sort of much research done before all of this hit and actually get to speak to people and hear their stories?
Yeah, we did. We've kind of worked there quite a lot over the last couple of years. But what happened is that we carried on having these Zoom meetings with some of the clients who it was really, really good for them because some of them, they hadn't been in Cardiff long and they've come from all sorts of places in the world and they end up, in a flat during a pandemic in a country that they don't really know much about. So I think it's been really good for them. It's been on a real lifeline to be able to have this weekly gathering and get together and chat.
Yeah, definitely, 100%. Because, it'd be difficult to be in that situation in inverted commas normal times.
Yeah, and I think that I've been really aware that the pandemic has made me really have to made me really think about how important art and culture is in people's lives in terms of connections and communication and cheering people up, on at a basic level, that it's really important.
Yeah, it absolutely is. I completely agree. And obviously, in general, arts are things that you can sort of get together with other people and enjoy, aren't they? Are always like a communal experience. So everything has had to change, but I agree with you. I've joined with all sorts of different things online, and for me, it's been absolutely great to have a connection and just to be involved in something creative.
Yeah. Yeah, and it must be interesting for you as well, having a podcast where you're basically talking to lots of different kinds of people about different things. And it's, do you know what I mean? Having the regularity of it and in these times where we don't just bump into each other, it's good to have a structured thing where you get to talk to people.
Yeah, definitely 100%. So I feel so lucky because usually every Friday I speak to at least two people, sometimes more. And like you say, it's also great to hear that people are doing such fantastic things within the community, and it doesn't necessarily have to be just art. All sorts of people that I speak to, and it's inspiring. And also, especially in these really difficult times where it can be quite hard to sort of keep up your positivity sometimes, it's just a little ray of sunshine for me to speak to people every week who are doing fantastic things.
Yeah, that's great. That's really good. Also, with the choir, obviously we couldn't perform or rehearse from March, so
no.
We made a commitment that we would still gather every week on Zoom, lots and lots and lots of people. And people, every week, somebody does a quiz. We have discussions about things and somebody can do a talk, or just to keep the community together and to kind of give the idea that the choir can exist without that physicality and without the singing, that we can still, get together and share ideas. It's really important.
Yeah, definitely. It really, really is. And so that's going to be made into a film?
The opera thing is a film, and that's coming out in January. Yeah.
Oh, how exciting.
Yeah, it is exciting. It's great.
And have you been involved in producing a film before, or is this a sort of new medium for you?
It's fairly new. I've done bits of things before. With Chumbawamba, we scored a film with a director called Alaric. We loved his stuff anyway. And he was in Bradford to collect some kind of award, I think, from the Bradford Film Festival. And I can't remember why, but we ended up just bumping into him and going to the pub with him. And, within about 6 months, we were sitting down scoring a whole film, which was really exciting because we'd never done it before. We were like, oh, that's exciting. Yeah.
So you see that you had a little foray into that in the past.
Yeah. Yeah. And I love it. I think it's just a lovely thing to do.
And didn't you recently write a play about bell running? I think I was due to come and see it because I review plays for the local free paper, but obviously then everything went crazy and I didn't get to come. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that's all penciled in to start again in January. Because when I say start again, it didn't actually start. We had about 50 dates in for the year, and they all just went. And what it is, it's the idea of, well, it's several things, but it's turning up and being in a theatre and talking about fell running, about land ownership, about the history of how people got access to the land, and about our connection to nature and all that sort of thing. And it's kind of like a discussion, but it's got a story, and it involves and also inviting people. Everywhere we do the show, we're going to go for a run with people the following morning in their area. Yeah, so it's like a kind of, look, if anyone wants to join us, we'll be setting off at 8 o'clock in the morning, and come along and we'll all have a chat about what's going on around here. So it's just trying to connect the idea of running with all these bigger ideas, these bigger philosophies about escape and freedom and wildness and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm really looking forward to coming to see it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing it.
Did it feel terribly frustrating that you got so close to releasing it and getting it out there after you put all that hard work in?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, because you kind of plan the year around it and about what's going to happen. And with the opera stuff, that was going to be a performance thing, and we managed to steer it into being a film project. Whereas with the running thing, which is called These Hills Are Ours, there wasn't really anywhere else it could go other than how we'd set it out, which is to be on a stage and to be a conversation with people in a theatre.
Yeah, there's no way to adapt.
No, not really. And even the songs on it, they don't kind of exist on their own. They're part of the show. So.
And is writing for theatre something that you've been doing for quite a while?
Yes, that show, actually, I'm just doing the music for that. I mean, I've done some of the writing, but mainly it's Dan By who does the writing for that one. But
right.
I do bits of writing here and there, mainly for Red Ladder Theatre Company.
Oh, yeah, I know them well, yeah.
Yeah, and they're just brilliant. I had a conversation the other day with Rod Dixon, who's the artistic director, and we were just discussing the fact that it's really nice. It's one of those theatre companies where people become part of the family. So every 2 or 3 years, they'll be working on something and they'll think, oh, I know, I know we can get to do the lights, or I know we can get to do the music for that. And if you're part of the family, then you get roped in, and it's really nice.
Yeah, it definitely is. I've had Rod Dixon as a guest quite towards the beginning of when I started the podcast.
Oh, yeah. Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he's just fantastic, isn't he? Because I've been involved. He did some drama classes in, I think it was in Middleton, and I went to a few of those, and they were just fantastic, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant. Excellent. Yeah, he can talk, can't he, Rod?
He really can. Yeah, he always tells such great stories.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, and he'll say things and then go, "Oops, I don't know if I should have said that."
Yeah, those are the best times.
Yeah, he starts mentioning names and you like, don't start a conversation with him about football, else you'll never stop.
Oh, I did do that. Yeah, I remember the conversation. But he's just great at telling any sort of a story, isn't he?
He is, yeah, he is.
And so, how have you been coping with day-to-day life? Because you have a small son, not so small.
Yeah, I've got a 10-year-old son and a 18-year-old daughter.
And how have they coped with it in completely different ways with the difference in age, or?
Yeah, they've been brilliant, to be honest.
Excellent.
It's hard because I've kind of been working throughout the year as well. So it's difficult when some people are really suffering. People are having a terrible time, not just in terms of like loneliness and mental health and stuff, but even just like financially and looking after children and all that sort of thing, the day-to-day things. And in that aspect, we've been really lucky because my 18-year-old daughter was going to go to university and she's having a year out and she's working, and we've just had me and the 10-year-old lad, Johnny, we've just had a really good time.
I've seen some of your Facebook posts, and some of the stuff that Johnny's been doing has just been absolutely hilarious.
He's brilliant. He's just really funny all the time. When we first went into lockdown last March, me and him said, let's watch every episode of, it's a TV series called Modern Family, an American TV series.
Oh yeah, I love Modern Family.
So we started from the very first one. And we calculated that altogether there's about 250 of them. And we've got 2 left to do. So we just...
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've got the last 2 and we're kind of treasuring them. We've just sat and watched. And we've had such a good time watching them.
Oh, bless you. Just trying to eke it out.
Yeah. It's like, we've got half an hour. Come on, let's watch a Modern Family. Just our little secret.
It is an absolutely brilliant show, though, isn't it? It's just so well written.
Oh, it's lovely. It's really lovely, yeah. It's one of those shows where everybody in it is likable, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And some shows you watch where everybody's unlikable and it's still brilliant, but this it's just one of those things where you always watch it and think, oh, that's nice.
So you'll feel like you've had a great lockdown achievement by the time you get to the end of those then.
I know, yeah. In years to come, when people say, you know, how was it that strange year? I'll just be thinking about Phil Dunphy and Modern Family. It's pathetic, isn't it?
I'm the same though. I mean, I try not to. It's trying to make yourself definitely don't just sit and watch TV all the time, isn't it? You know what I mean? And
yeah,
give yourself some kind of a structure and make yourself. I've been trying to just push myself a little bit more to try different types of art and things like that, and not worry about the end product. Just think about the process.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, my wife Casey, she decided she would start sign writing.
Sorry, I didn't catch that. She'd start what? Sorry.
She was going to start sign writing.
Oh, wow.
So she just made loads of lovely signs and everything, and you know, and she's really good at it. And it's like she can look back and think, "Yep, that's what I did. I learnt this skill.
Yeah,
I learnt this new skill." Whereas I'm just like, "Yeah, I watch Modern Family."
Yeah, it seems quite difficult because we're in it now, but I keep thinking about what it'll feel like in the future when we look back at this period of time.
Yeah.
But it's quite hard to imagine yourself in the future just at the minute.
It is, yeah. But it does feel now as if we're kind of heading towards some kind of end of it, at least at some point next year. So
the signs are all pointing that way, aren't they? It was quite disheartening last night to hear that we'd gone back into tier 3.
I know. Yeah.
But
it's really annoying.
Yeah, but that's another thing I've had to do. I've had to really keep an eye on how much news that I watch and take in, because you can just drive yourself crazy doing that, can't you?
You can. The American election was, like the fascination with Trump for the first couple of years.
Yeah.
Which it was funny. And then as it got closer and closer to the election, it just wasn't funny anymore. It was kind of quite distressing.
Yes.
Just the idea that he could have got in again.
Oh gosh, yeah. I actually stayed up and watched it because I didn't want to wake up in the morning and find out it happened again.
Yeah, that's exactly what I did. I thought I just need to watch some key states going the right way before
So you've also been working with the Commoners Choir. Can you tell me a little bit about that, Boff?
Yeah, it started about 4 years ago. Maybe, is it 5 years or 4 years? And I'd been toying with the idea. After Chumbawamba, for years, I'd thought, it'd be nice to have a band or something, but I couldn't really work out what it could be. And then I just had this idea of mixing kind of heavily political punk rock lyrics, like a band like Crass. I don't know if you remember them. Very kind of anarchist, shouty, but brilliant, inspirational stuff. But mixing that level of volatility and politicization, but mixing it with something like the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, having 100 people singing 4 or 5-part harmonies really beautifully. And I just thought, nobody's doing that. So I wrote a manifesto, which was basically saying, we'll sing all our own songs, and we'll sing, we'll sing on mountain tops and all that sort of thing as a manifesto, and just put it on social media and said, is anyone around this area interested in this kind of thing? And a bunch of people gathered. And basically I said, it's not my choir. Everybody has to kind of play a part in it, and you've all got to chip in ideas and work and everything. And everyone's taken it on, and it's become this lovely community of people that kind of want to sing about what's going on in the world, and we really enjoy it, and we enjoy making films, and we've got an allotment now and things like that. We kind of just share an ethos, and it's 50 or 60 people just gathering to say something, and that physicality of being in a room with 50 or 60 voices matching and harmonizing is such a powerful thing to be part of. It's great.
I bet. And how have you managed with that during this time then?
Well, we made a commitment to keep it going as a community. So we've done lots of Zoom things, and we've realised you can't sing together online on Zoom. It's impossible because of the time delays and everything. But we worked out very quickly about how to record, how everyone could have ideas and have discussions, and then record something based on a kind of rough template, and everyone would chip in ideas, and everyone just records in their own space, in their own kitchens or living rooms. And then we bring it all together, and it's always a real joy gathering all these weird little recordings from all over West Yorkshire and then sticking them together. And it's lovely. And suddenly you start hearing this big noise again, and you think, oh yeah, I know that noise. I know that familiar noise. It's so hopefully we'll be back into singing together very soon anyway.
Yeah, that would be great, wouldn't it? And do you have anywhere that you Are you planning on singing on top of a mountain for your first get together?
Because we wanted to celebrate the people who did a mass trespass on Kinder Scout in 1932. So we wrote a song about them, about this big mass trespass, and we walked up onto the top of Kinder Scout and sang it up there.
Oh, wow.
Just because we thought that's where it deserves to be sung. And we've sung on Ilkley Moor, and we've sung in... We like the idea of kind of celebrating the people's right to roam and the people's right to kind of access land. And so we love to get out and sing in places where maybe, you wouldn't normally find a choir.
Oh, that's a fantastic idea. And it'll be great when you can all get back together again and see each other in real life and sing in the same room together.
I know, yeah, it will. Yeah, it'll be joyous.
It really will. Boff, would you say you're from Leeds, or do you live in Leeds?
Yeah, I live in Otley at the moment. I lived in Armley on and off for about 20 years. And eventually I thought, do you know what? I'm getting old. I go running on the off-road running every day. And I just thought, why don't we move somewhere where I can go out the front door instead of getting in a car? Go out the front door and just run and be on the fells, in the forest, on the moors. So that's what we did. We moved to Otley, and it's just, for running, it's just glorious. It's just brilliant. Whichever way you run out of town, you're suddenly in the countryside.
Have you always been into running?
No, I got into it quite late on, actually. I got into it because I've just finished writing a book, which is hopefully will come out in about 3 or 4 months, it's called Faster, Louder. And it's this story about this teenager in Leeds who was called Gary Devine, who he was a total punk rocker, Mohican, leather jacket, all that sort of thing, always getting into scrapes and ended up getting arrested and all that sort of thing. But he was also, he became British champion fell runner whilst being a punk rocker. And he was running these kind of like international races, like the Ben Nevis mountain race. And he was, with like 1,000 people in them, top international runners. And he was, with a pink Mohican, and he won it. He was winning these races. And I met him when I just toyed with the idea of running. I was thinking, maybe it's a good thing to do. I was about 27 or 8 or something. And he said, I'll take you for a run, because I knew him as a punk, not as a runner. And as soon as he took me for an off-road run down Meanwood Valley, and heading out of Meanwood Valley, and you can go over towards the reservoirs, is it Eckup and places like that. And that was a revelation to me. I just thought running was running around the streets. So I did that, and I just thought, yeah, this is what I want to do. I love this. So ever since then, I've just been hooked on the idea of running in the countryside. I love it.
Oh, wow. And so the book, is the book about Gary Devine then?
Yeah.
Or is it about your...
No, it's about Gary Devine. It's about growing up in the 1980s in Leeds with what was happening with punk rock at the time, and lots of people squatting venues and lots of bands starting and loads of stuff to do with, like the 1 in 12 club in Bradford. And Leeds had people like Nick Totchek putting gigs on at, Brannigan's and the F Club and all that sort of thing. A real scene, loads of squatting happening all over Meanwood and Leeds 6. And at the same time, there was this Puttnam Bramley Athletic Club, which is this kind of really small club between Leeds and Bradford that's based at Priesthorpe School, was winning the British Championship fell running team, awards and things.
Yeah.
So it was just such a really interesting time. And I always thought that would make a great book. Those the two opposite ends of that, how to balance that ridiculousness of punk rock with the ridiculousness of running up and down mountains. So that's what the book...
Yeah, it's just not something you'd normally put together, is it?
No, and it just felt like one of those classic British stories of underdogs, coming out on top. That's what it is, really.
Yeah. Oh, well, so you've definitely lived in Leeds long enough to answer the 3 questions that I ask every guest. So the first one is, what would you say is something that is great about the city of Leeds?
I can answer this really, really quickly because I've thought a lot about this over the last 10 years. I think it's the ability to leave it. I think Leeds City Council had a slogan for a while, which was Leeds, love it, live it. And I always thought it should say Leeds, love it, live it, leave it, because going out along the valleys, it's a brilliant city for getting out of and getting into the countryside. And I didn't know, I lived there for a long time before I realised that. Going out along the canal or through Armley or through Meanwood, there's all these passages along the rivers and the valleys that take you straight out into the countryside. And I think a lot of students coming to Leeds, they don't realise that. I feel like they should get a leaflet when they arrive saying, look, you can get this bus that just goes straight out to you're in the Yorkshire Dales on the bus in like 25 minutes.
Yeah.
So, and I love that about Leeds.
Yeah, it's definitely a great thing that gets mentioned a lot because I think you're exactly right. It's you sort of get the best of both worlds, don't you? Because you've got the sort of city vibe of it, and then you don't really have to go very far at all before you can feel like you're in the middle of the countryside.
Yeah, absolutely. It is. It's very green city.
It is. And if you had to choose something that you think is not so great, what would you go for?
This kind of willful blindness of the city centre, and it's the obsession with retail. The fact that the city centre is now called a retail zone, it just annoys me. I just think that a city should be somewhere where it kind of spreads out, whereas in Leeds it feels like people call it a jam in the centre of a donut. And because you can go like 5-minute walk out of Leeds city centre, and and you'd be in, I don't know, like say you're in Holbeck or going over towards East Leeds to Seacroft or whatever, and you're in a different world. You're in a world where there isn't money being pumped into it, and there aren't corporations building high-rise £1 million flats and everything. So, and I don't like that. I don't like how the city's cut off from lots of the communities around it.
Yeah, and I know what you mean, and I think as well it's that whole thing about what is a city for if it's not for the people who live in it and around it.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And I think that if the city centre is doing really well, which it is, then it ought to look out for the places around it as well. You know, I do lots of work with Space Tour, an arts charity in East Leeds, in Gipton and Seacroft. And the way that jobs and work and shops and pubs and cinemas and everything else, the way those places have all been drained out of that area is ridiculous. You know, when you see what's in the city centre, you just think, come on, you should connect with those places, and everyone should feel kind of part of this brave new Leeds. But unfortunately, I feel like a lot of people feel left out of it.
Yeah, I know what you mean. When I've lived here now for about must be coming up for 20 years, and when I still live in Beeston. My partner got a place at Leeds College of Music. That's why we came here in the first place.
All right, yeah.
And when I first lived in Beeston, we kept getting sold this idea that all of this development was coming into South Leeds, and it would all come this way, and we are still waiting for that.
I know, it didn't. It just about got across the river, didn't it? And then like with the Dark Arches, and then those a few bits of the edge of Holbeck, and then it just stopped. And you just think, come on, let's spread it out more.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And if somebody had been a long-term resident of Leeds, would you be able to tell them about something you would consider to be a hidden gem that they might never have heard of?
Yeah, one thing I think is a hidden gem for a lot of people in Leeds is, I used to say Beryl Burton was a hidden gem. She was like, the world's best woman cyclist for many, many years, and yet a lot of people in Leeds didn't realise she was from Leeds. But then the Tour de France came here, and everybody started learning about Beryl Burton. But now I'd say Tony Harrison, Leeds poet.
Yeah.
Because I still think he's fantastic, and I think he's so Leeds, and he celebrates his Leedsness a lot. He's really kind of really proud of his roots and everything, but he still gets largely overlooked, I think, outside the kind of small arts community. I think in general in Leeds, if it were up to me, I wouldn't have a statue of a bloke with a barrel in Dortmund Square. I'd have a big statue of Tony Harrison.
Yeah.
I think he's great, and he's got good politics, and his feet are firmly planted in his roots, and I just think he's great, yeah.
It's a shame that that's sort of not taught in local schools, because that's the way that you sort of get that information out, I suppose.
Yeah, all kids should learn about Tony Harrison in Leeds schools, definitely. He's an integral part of Leeds. He's as Leeds as, Leeds United.
Yeah, well, I'll have to see if I can find some links to put in the podcast notes, and then hopefully people will be able to go and discover them for themselves. I always ask guests, Boff, to if they have a track that they'd like to feature by a Leeds-based singer or musician or band.
Yeah.
And you have chosen a song called Ferry Across the Aire.
Yeah.
And who's that by, and why have you chosen that?
Well, it's by Carl Puttnam, who used to be the lead singer of Cud, and he made a solo album. And I know Carl a bit, and I knew the Alaric Neville, who was producing the album. He said, "Oh, have you got any ideas for any songs that Carl could sing?" And he's got an incredible voice. It's like almost like Tom Jones or someone. He's got this beautiful croony voice. So I thought it'd be great to have a song which suited his voice, which was about Leeds. So I wrote this song about Leeds, about how a lot of it is how Leeds is divided into two cities by the river, about how South Leeds kind of has the claim on the history and the football and all that sort of thing, and North Leeds is largely, well, parts of North Leeds are largely kind of people from other places, and about how just the two sides of the river make up this incredible place, really. So that's what the song's about.
Oh, that sounds fantastic.
And he sings it so beautifully. It's great.
Very much looking forward to hearing it. And what will you be doing with the rest of your Friday afternoon?
I'm going round to my mate Josh's, who's he's in the middle of making an animated film to accompany a song that Commoners Choir have just written, which is a Christmas song. We decided to write a Christmas song because Mark Thomas, the comedian, got in touch with us and said he's doing a Christmas podcast. Would we write a song that went with it?
Oh wow, how amazing!
Yeah, so we went to town with it, and we said we'll do it as long as it's got, you know, sleigh bells and ding dong bells and lots of angelic voices, and we want some little kids singing on it and all that. So we've really gone to town with it, and we're halfway through making an animation that goes with it.
Oh, that sounds great. That sounds like a really good creative afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Thank you so much for coming along and speaking. Well, not coming along, remotely connecting to speak to me today. And good luck with all of your projects. I'll definitely put links in the podcast notes that people can click through and see all the different projects that you've been involved in.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, it's been lovely to talk.
Might actually get to meet each other in real life one of these days, who knows?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it'd be good to meet you.
Thanks very much and have a great weekend.
Yeah, thanks very much for that. Yeah, see you later then.
It was great to remotely chat to Boff. I'm very much excited to see These Hills Are Ours, and I'm definitely going to get hold of a copy of Faster, Louder. Boff chose to feature the gorgeous track Ferry Across the Aire by Carl Puttnam and Alaric Neville. Stay safe and warm, Leeds, and I'll speak to you soon.
Ceasefire between the north and the south. Should we settle this with words now, or just a smack in the mouth? Sometimes I feel I belong, sometimes I feel just wrong. With my arm round Billy Bremner's statue, singing this song. There's a river that runs right through, and it's tearing the city into the town hall lions, worn and half asleep. Dreamy, dreamy dreams of happiness. It's like London on the tube. We're an A-Z of place names that no one pronounces. An unmade man in red brick, and a curse on both your houses. There's a river that runs right through, and it's tearing our city in two. So ferry across the air, or a bus from City Square, just tell me I'll be there. Just tell me I'll be there. See the DJ, now he's lying in state. I can't walk with a swagger, because nobody does. Sometimes I'm one of them, Just tell me I'll be there. We're less like who we love and more like who we hate. We're less like who we love and more like who we hate. The river runs right through, and it's tearing my city in two. So ferry across the air, a bus from City Square. Just tell me I'll be there. Just tell me